Hey, everybody. Mortisk Media here. We are back again with another Blender segment, and today we're just going to go over how to make a very simple rope material that looks really good. It's got all the twists and bends and things that you would expect in a rope, but as far and it's animatable, something that you can actually go ahead and utilize within your animations, like a simple grappling hook or any sort of other sort of rope material that you would want to have animated. Now, there's a few different ways to do this. I'm going to go over the most simplistic way. I am going to be doing a video on a much more detailed version of how to be able to animate rope in with more like curves and loops and things like that. But we're going to keep it very simple. Today's rope is going to just kind of go from point A to point B, very easy to animate. Let's keep it simple. So without further ado, let's get it going. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we want to load into a new scene and delete everything out so that we've got a nice blank canvas here. And then we're going to go ahead and Shift A, add a mesh, and we're going to add a circle. Now we want to make sure before we click off of the circle that we change the vertex count. I like to go with about 12. It's a nice round number, keeps it not too sharp but not too smooth as well. And then we're going to go ahead and tab into edit mode, scale that bad boy down. We're going to grab with G and move it along the x-axis. We want to make sure to do this in edit mode though, because we want its origin point, this little orange dot here, we want that to be offset from the actual object. So we're going to go ahead and tab back into object mode, just so we can kind of see that point there. And we're going to go to the modifier section, the little wrench icon. Now from the modifier section, we want to go ahead and add an array modifier. Getting ahead of myself. We want to make sure to uncheck relative offset and click on object offset. Now we're going to go ahead and add in the object for it to offset. So we're going to go down, Shift A, and go into empty, and we're going to select the arrows option. Now we're going to go back, we're going to go back to our circle here, go back to the object offset, and we're going to grab the eyedropper and select it to the empty. So now if I set the array count to 4 and I rotate this along the z-axis by 90 degrees, now we've got 4 circles with perfect placement between them. But they are a little far apart, so we're going to go back into edit mode and we're going to grab and move along the the z-axis. I'm sorry, I'm pressing the G key and, well, they sound similar, so. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and just kind of scooch those together like that. That's looking pretty nice in my opinion. And then we're going to go back into object mode and add in our second modifier. So this one is going to be the screw modifier. This is the one I was getting ahead of myself on earlier. This one is the most fun one though, because as soon as you start playing with it, you automatically just start seeing that nice twisty kind of rope material, very, very, very clean. It's very, very nice. So we're going to take the screw length and we're going to set it to 4 meters. And then just because we also want to make it so that way it has some kind of like relative offset on its capping, we're going to select everything at the edge here in edit mode and rotate. Let's see, is it going to be, nope, it's going to be -90. So we're going to go RX -90. Oh, I'm sorry, 45, not 90. Yeah, 90 would be way too much. All right, there we go. So now we've got some nice kind of curvature. It looks like it's spinning upwards. It's looking pretty nice. All right, now what we need to do is add in a Bezier curve. So we're going to go out of edit mode here. I'm going to Shift A, curve, Bezier curve. Now with the Bezier curve here, I personally also, I will say that I sometimes use a path as well. Same process. The Bezier curve just generally works better with the modifiers that we're using with this, so you can pick and choose. I've used both do work. So I use actually this particular type of setup whenever I'm doing any sort of rope or cable materials. So all right, so now that with our Bezier curve and our circle and our empty, we want to make sure that they're all parented to each other. So we're going to go ahead and select on the, oh, we're still in edit mode. We're going to select on the empty, the rope, and then click on the Bezier curve. I want to make sure this one is the one highlighted in bright yellow, not the one in dark orange. Then we're going to go parent with Control P and object. Now we're going to go back to our rope material, and we're going to add in a second array modifier. Now this one is going to be set to constant offset, and we're actually going to set it to fit curve. And we're going to set it to the Bezier Curve. And so just to guys realize I went a little fast there. So it's array modifier, then the fit type to fit curve, and then the curve that I selected, which is the one Bezier curve that we have in this, and then unchecking relative offset, and then checking constant offset. Now we also want to zero out the x-axis, and we know that our screw length is 4 meters. So what we actually want to do is go to the z-axis and set that to 4. There we go. All right, we're going to set that to 4. Sorry, my brain had a little bit of a issue there. All right, so now that we have our screw modifier, our array modifier, or 2 array modifiers, now we're going to go ahead and add in a curve modifier. So this curve modifier, we're going to set it to the Bezier curve along the z-axis, and that's it. Now we have a nice rope material, but if we try to do anything with it, like this, we get some kind of weirdness going on. It kind of separates into individual strands. So how do we fix that? Well, we go into our Bezier Curve, tab into Edit Mode, and then we find which vertex is currently set up properly. I believe it's going to be this one. Yep, perfect. Okay. So now, we're going to make sure to select Merge on our option here. So as you saw, there was seams being created as I ran the rope along. All you got to do is just go down to this one, click on Merge, easy peasy. So now if we go back into the curve, click on that handle again, now we get some nice movement on our rope material. One thing I do like to do, because as you can see, as I drag it up, there's a bit of a lag in between. And then as soon as I get to that end here, this dot passes the end, that's when the new material is made. So I like to put it right about there just to make it so that way it's nice and even with the rest of everything else. All right, so we're going to line that back up right in the middle there. Now this is where it becomes really fun. So with this segment selected, we're going to hit Control H, and we're going to hit Hook to New Object. This is now going to add a hook modifier with an empty object that we can use in object mode. This is where it gets really fun. So now that we have our object, we're going to go back to our Bezier curve, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side, hook to new object. Now, as you can see, if I try to move this, it's not going to work real right. I mean, you can use the combination of both, I will say, if you get like super patient. You can use this plus this to get some kind of like weird bendy shapes, but as you can see, it causes clipping, so it's not really the best way. There is a way to do this. It's just not this way. No, right now we have a nice little segment of rope that we can control. We can do whatever we need to do with, so I'm happy with that. All right, so I'm going to go back to the Bezier curve though, because I'm sure as you saw, there is a slight issue. It seems like the rope is getting ahead of the modifier. So I want to bring that back a little bit. Go back into edit mode, object mode, and let's see. Yeah, that's working a little bit better. I like that. I'm okay with that. Yeah, let's just go ahead and size up our empty. There we go. Now we're getting a better follow. Perfect. So now we need an object for it to attach to. So I have up here a little hidden folder, don't mind me, just sneaking things in here. And I've got a little claw, and I have a wall. Now, I'm going to show you what happens when you take two objects, or take objects, I guess, and parent them together with this rope little trick here. So first thing we want to do is we want to make sure to select this. Select the empty that we're using for the hook modifier, the one that's going to be, dragging the rope out. and then select whatever object you want for this. I'm just going to select the plating because my metal plate kind of controls everything else. So we're going to go ahead and parent these, together. And now if I take this, I can do this. Now, as you can see, I mean, it is kind of clipping through a little bit. That's why I'll generally, I'll show you, I'll do this mesh. I'll add in another cube, kind of size it in just a little bit. Yeah, like that. And then we'll just kind of inset it like that. And then we'll set this to the parent. So that way now when I do this, when I do this, it should look a lot less obvious. Yeah, it's going a little bit better there. So I will say that also normally the rope is not like the size of your object. These are not proper proportions at all. So if you're doing animating, don't follow this exactly. I would scale up whatever your attachment object is just by a slight margin. But now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to add in a UV sphere just to kind of give something as like a stagnant body for things to attach to. Now what I like to do, because I generally put the hook targets, these little empties here, I'll put these at the end. So when I parent them, I'll just take this object and do a quick shift over in edit mode. No big deal whenever you're doing like testing like this anyways. Just because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if this if its relative offset is, off. All right, so now what we can do to be able to do an animation here, I don't know where this keyframe came. Oh, I must have had auto keying on. Let's get this out of here. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna bring that back down. Down, maybe. If it wants to cooperate, there we go. All right, and then we're gonna highlight everything, bring it up to right about there. Yeah, that looks good. And now, here's what we do. So we're gonna select the main object that we've parented the hook to and the rope to. And then now I will turn on auto keying just because it's a little easier. And then we're gonna set a keyframe there, go up maybe about 70 frames. Duplicate it just to kind of make it so it doesn't start right at the beginning of our scene. And then we'll go up to 100 frames and we'll do something like that. And actually, I'm going to split the difference there. I'm going to put that right around 85. Yeah, close enough. All right, and then we're going to have it go drop back down and hook into the wall like so. Now, as you can see, there is some bending, there is some life. Through animation, you can definitely give it some more like arcing and things like that. But I mean, very simple, very basic. It's already animated. Very slowly. That timing is terrible. But you get the idea. Everything is working together. It's using the parent of this object and the parent here to be able to tell Blender, okay, this point and this point, move all of the objects and keep arraying them until it stops. So it just constantly is setting an array count beyond what you're actually using. So this is another reason why you generally don't want your rope to be so thick and long, because then that's kind of why we're getting that clipping in the front. It's like when I go back to when it first pops in, so it'll be like right there. So like you see how it's clipping through there because the length of rope that it's arraying is longer than the area that it's gapping. So that's where a sizing issue kind of comes into play, but I was just modeling this out really quickly for the purposes of both demonstration and tutorials. So but that's how you do it, guys. Get a nice animated rope. You can use this for stagnant images as like steel cables and stuff. You can use this for grappling hooks and claws and things like that. So anything that's like a rope material that you need to get that like really nice twisty, bendy, animatable kind of feel to it. This is a great, easy way to get it done. And really quickly too, if I'm gonna go over here, I have material set up here. So I'm gonna go quickly into the view, the render view. Now look how nice that looks. Like it's just so, it's tight, it's cable. It's nice and shiny. It's very, 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 very nice. So that's the reason why I wanted to create this video. So I do hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, comments, or anything you'd like to, maybe pass on along as far as information, you saw me do something that I could be doing better. Always happy for feedback. You feel free to leave a comment or message me directly on inbox. I also have my Facebook page up. So, but hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, stay animated.